It's that time of year again, and the Japanese beetles are out. But the key is not just fighting the beetles today, it's actually preventing them today for next year. If you're seeing this kind of damage in your garden right now, on your cannas, your birch, lindens, roses, hibiscus, they're out, they're foraging, and they're causing damage. Let's help you out. So Japanese beetle damage is really apparent. Once you see it in your garden, you can't unsee it, and it becomes a larger and larger problem. If you're beginning to see signs of damage, things like this, where you're seeing scaled leaves, where the foliage has been eaten and the veins are left, that's Japanese beetle damage. But there are some plants where they'll actually eat the entire bloom or the entire leaf, depending on the vein structure of the foliage. But Japanese beetle damage is cosmetic. It can make things look very unsightly. So some of the key tips to know about this is being able to identify what a Japanese beetle is. So let's take a look at exactly what a Japanese beetle looks like. The way you can identify them is with this iridescent green and a little bit of brown on the back wings of the Japanese beetle. These beetles fly around really erratically. And when they land on your plant, typically the females will let out a pheromone, which actually attracts and draws in the males, where they'll then come breed and mate and have big populations of Japanese beetles all in one area. Now, beetles, they really start their life cycle, if you think about it, in the lawn. Now, when you irrigate your lawn, it actually creates a great environment for these Japanese beetles to lay their larvae. So they're underground, chewing and eating these grass roots. And what will happen is you'll actually start to see damage in your lawn in July and August. When in July and August it gets hot, the temperatures warm up, we start to get into drought, the grass just starts to look really brown, and those patches will look like about 3 square feet and larger. These large brown patches of grass are oftentimes beetle damage, where they're eating and consuming the roots, and then they emerge out of the soil in June through August, and they start breeding. They're breeding all summer long. This is a time where those Japanese beetles are out feeding and breeding, and then the females will actually lay 40 to 60 eggs in a week throughout the lawns, and they will continue to do that throughout the course of the summer all the way into August. Knowing that the beetles are now active, the most important thing you can do right now, this is the perfect time to be applying a grub control to your lawn. We've got a great product. It's imidacloprid with milorganite, so it feeds the lawn, very low amount of nitrogen, but really high in iron, so it'll give you dark green grass through the summer. It'll help repair any of those damaged roots from Japanese beetles that have been feeding on your lawn's roots. But that imidacloprid, the way that it works, it will actually go into the soil where the grubs are laying their larvae, where they're hatching out, and as they feed, that imidacloprid will work to kill the larva at the larval stage, which means next year you'll actually reduce your Japanese beetle populations across your neighborhood. And hopefully, if everybody's getting to do this together, it helps reduce the overall population of those Japanese beetles. So it's a really good approach to have prevention rather than spraying. Now, if you have an active population, they're damaging some of your highly prized plants, you can spray an insecticide. However, you have to know that if you're spraying an insecticide, they're not selective. It's not just going to kill Japanese beetles. You need to be very mindful of what you're spraying and when you're spraying it. Those hours are going to be early in the morning before the sunrise, or right before sunrise. And even better, I really like doing this in the evening, right at sunset, when the pollinators have all gone away for the evening and the Japanese beetles have kind of hunkered down for the evening. They're sitting and they're going to be there all night, and you can spray it. Again, the best measure to prevent Japanese beetles is to apply a grub control that prevents them from hatching larger populations year after year, and you want to do this yearly to keep that from happening. Another question we get often is, could I put up one of the Japanese beetle trap bags? And yes, you can put those trap bags up. It's a pheromone inside the bag that actually draws the beetles in, and they'll fall into the bag and they can't escape. However, if you're drawing beetles in, you're actually driving more traffic to your yard, to your lawn, and to your ornamental plants that you may not want them. We don't generally recommend those bags unless you've got a larger piece of property where you can put the beetle trap way back in the back corner, away from your house, away from your lawn, away from your ornamentals. That's really the only application where we'd want to put a bag out into the environment. Otherwise, you're just drawing more of the beetles into your area that can then feed can then breed, and they can ultimately cause more damage in the long run. Another question we get is, can I smash the beetles? And I would not encourage you to smash the beetles. When you smash the beetles, it actually releases a pheromone, again, that drives traffic, and more beetles will then show up. So the best thing you can do, if you want to remove them from your plants immediately, you can hand pick them off and put them in a soapy bucket of water. That way it will kill them, but it won't release those pheromones, and you can dispose of the beetles that way. So know that treating your lawn is the best way to prevent Japanese beetles. It'll reduce populations, and ultimately it will help everybody in the area have less beetles. But there is nothing that can keep the beetles away, because they have wings. They're going to fly wherever they want. So it's something you got to watch out for and be aware of every single season. All right, if your plants are looking like they might have Japanese beetle damage, bring in a sample. We're happy to help you identify what that damage looks like, that leaf scaling, or just consumption of the blooms. We are happy to get you set up with our grub control. It's the best thing you can do to put it down now to prevent next year from having an infestation. We'll also walk you through some other plant suggestions and things that you can plant for the future if you're continually getting this type of damage. Check us out in Overland Park, Shawnee, or in Liberty, and we look forward to seeing you soon. I hope those beetles stay away from you, because I know I'm fighting them all the time.